right, and from Raise Your Culture, Raise Yourself, we are jumping straight into our last topic block of today. And this is a highly relevant topic for your business, but also, I guess, for every individual. We're talking money. Our next track is called Raise Your Funds, and now, it's of course not only about cash. Our next host or our next topic captain, they tend to say that it's not about cash, it's about attracting and finding the right people. So very warm welcome here on stage with me, Victoria from Smog Ventures.
Hello, everybody. I'm still having a little technical problem as I cannot see anything besides the whiteboard. So if somebody
same here.
So you're already live, people. Hello there.
Hello there.
Hi, Victoria. Hi, everyone. Welcome on stage, straight from Poland. It's a pleasure having you here.
It's my pleasure as well. So again, hello everyone. Hello everyone. I think the video turns on as soon as we start speaking, Boris, and let's just switch directly to our conversation. So today we're having the topic Raise Your Funds, and we are delighted to host this session for the PIRATEX conference. During our 1 hour and a half overview, we will go through the venture capitals, startups, and angel ecosystems through 4 different countries, which is going to be Poland, Czechia, a little bit of Slovenia, and Ukraine. So let me start with the venture capital presentation, which will be dedicated to one very cool topic. We all would like to know, what does it really take to raise a seed capital in 2021 in the CEE, Central and Eastern Europe? Welcome 2 of our speakers, Boris Mushelak, the managing partner of Smog Ventures. Hello, Boris.
Hey, hello.
Okay, now I can see you. And Andrus Ox, the founding partner of Terra Ventures. Hello. Andrus?
Can't hear
you. Yep, let's just wait.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we do.
Okay.
That was a small technical up if we can hear and see each other. Okay, wonderful. So why don't we start with a short round of the introductions and jump later on to the questions. Andres, I would like to start with you. Could you please tell more about yourself and your fund?
Sure. I'm a previous entrepreneur myself, and now have been investing for 13 years almost. Currently, from our second fund, we're broadly seed from early to late, from a couple of 100K initial tickets to 1.5 million euros, and substantially reserving for follow-ons as well. We are generalists. Of course, we like some themes more than others. We've been investing in this AI machine learning for more than a decade. And the other point is that, well, as we're hands-on and as some of our portfolio companies mature, we get to learn about our respective industries. And for that reason, we like fintech more, automation, last mile, a few others. We cover, we call it New Nordics, which includes Scandinavia, Baltics. Estonia is the home market. We think it's actually the most attractive market for us. Most of our deals will be here as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Boris, what about yourself?
I love the New Nordics, this theme, and I love it that Poland is the New Nordics now. Like, everyone hates the Central Eastern Europe. They kind of reinvent that to different names, but it's still Central Eastern Europe. Let's just agree to that. We call it the emerging Europe. So, so yes, I'm Boris. I'm a founding partner too of Smog Ventures. We are a pretty new fund. We've been here for 2 years or so, but we are part of a bigger conglomerate of funds of Paul Bregiel, managing about $500 million globally and investing in emerging markets, mostly in Southeast Asia, Africa, and now also Eastern and Central Europe. So I, together with Diana, who I think will be in the two panel from here, we manage the fund from here, Warsaw, Poland, and we focus on basically Poland, Ukraine, and also recently the Baltics. So we are just starting to invest in the whole region. We've made 20 investments in the last 20 months, more or less, so one investment per month. We're doing pre-seed and seed investments up to €1 million into one company. And we like software startups and we like gaming startups. So stuff that we kind of have known as entrepreneurs, because the whole fund is tech people, entrepreneurs, zero financial people. Very weird for Central Eastern Europe, but hopefully this, more funds like that will be showing up.
Thank you, Boris. And just a short reminder that this panel was organized by Smoke Ventures and CEE Valling. In case you're not over there, join us on Facebook and find the top talents from the Central and Eastern Europe, along with the best funds. Guys, maybe following up the question, what it actually takes to fundraise in Europe. Could you describe your perfect founder? Boris, let's start with you this time.
Okay, sure. Perfect founder. So I think we are at the stage that we already expect a bit more from founders that we did about 10 years ago or so, because 10 years ago no one knew how to do it. Like everyone was pretty new to this, and there was not much venture capital. Like funds like yours were just starting, so we could kind of forgive founders a bit more. Now it's kind of unforgivable if the founder is not prepared and if they don't know the market, if they don't know this their industry that they're trying to disrupt. So I kind of expect more, but also I think the founders expect more from the VC. So I think it's actually the best time to raise, like the best time ever to be a founder in Europe, and especially in Central Eastern Europe, as more and more funding options are showing up. Estonia is a great example because there's been a number of those big hits from Estonia, and those founders, they became angel investors. They became their first seeds. In Poland, it's still kind of happening. Poland, Ukraine, not much of that has happened yet, but there is much more venture capital on the other hand. There's 100 venture capital firms in Poland operating and investing, and the last 2 years was like a 20 times growth in VC investment, compared to maybe 5 years ago. So this is the best time to find the right investor. The thing is, what are those founders looking for? Because like a few years ago, they were mostly looking for creating a nice company to rule your local market. And this is not enough. Those markets are not big enough. Even Poland has a big market, even Russia has a pretty big market. They're still not big enough to build huge global companies. So now I'm seeing what I want from the founder. I want them to kind of feel that they want to be a niche, but still market leader in a specific niche globally. And that's the kind of founders you're looking for. I'm sure, Andres, you're looking for a similar type of founder, right?
Andres, yeah. So what about you? What was Terra Ventures' beginning perfect founder profile, and how is it different now?
So of course, founders need to be special. Need to be able to create. Sometimes even new industries or disrupt existing ones. So of course they need to be quite amazing as people. Yeah. So sometimes it's not just positive as well. So it's like many founders have peculiar features like that. So. And of course, we at seed stage, we spend most of the time actually trying to understand their vision and their ambition level, and yeah, how can we actually help them? So and of course, I mean, when I started, it was quite rare to see mature founders or serial entrepreneurs, and I guess that's the main development over the recent years. Well, we now have those guys that actually have done it before, and obviously this maturity as such is very helpful for those new startups that they are building. So and yeah, I mean, more broadly on this topic, I guess Estonia is quite special. Estonian startups actually have raised $1 billion this year already.
Wow.
Which is many times larger than previous peak year, which was last year actually. So and of course, I mean, this is mostly driven by few later stage deals, but actually the early stage deal count is also higher, and then there are quite meaningful seed stage deals happening here. So it is certainly much easier to raise money currently than it has ever been.
Yeah. What about, so just to double check, because are you investing in Estonia only, or are you open for the other countries as well? How is your scouting going?
Yeah, I said, it's New Nordics plus Poland and Czech Republic. So
okay.
So we cover quite wide territories. So I'm actually currently in Stockholm visiting our first Swedish investee company. Yeah.
Is there anything what you find like from the problem wise, like all the startups from this country do? I don't know, like Polish people tend to complain a lot about one of the problem and like concentrate on the problem, you know, in the first part of the pitch deck, and not disclosing that much about the solution. Are there any common problems or mistakes which you find in the founders from a specific region, which like are dropping into your attention?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's hard to generalize like that. And of course, I mean, all the founders are quite new to this startup when they are at seed stage. So of course, they can make mistakes, but I mean that's forgivable as long as they learn fast. Yeah. So
wonderful. So I think your fund has given a lot of the feedbacks, the same as ours, Boris. But what about you? Have you found anything what is very common from a one certain market, which you think founders can improve when they're going to send the pitch decks or pitch you?
Well, to me, it's kind of, I've seen like a lot of great founders. I think at least founders who can be great in the future, who make a mistake of kind of making too many assumptions after one or two sales that they are able to do, especially if those are local sales. So there's like, Poland is very B2B oriented. There's a lot of B2B startups, and the natural way for them to start, and same goes for like Ukrainian startups, same goes for even Latvian, Lithuanian startups. They like to work with one or two like local, companies, local corporates or local companies, and they sell a solution to them, and then they kind of say, okay, we've tested the market, and now we know that we have a solution to a problem. And to me, this is not really true, like, because you have a solution to maybe a problem that in your local country, in your local language, usually people like people you have some kind of connection with. But do you know if you're able to sell globally, or at least are you able to sell in a market that's bigger, like at least the DACH market, which is like Germany, Austria, Switzerland, the closest big market to us, or UK or US or India or China? They usually kind of assume that this is going to be very much the same, versus my experience is that it's very different. And usually companies which start locally it's super hard for them to actually to go global without a change of attitude. So those best companies that we work with, that we invest in, they rarely start in Poland, or they rarely start in a market, local market that they run. They might do some tests, but very, very quickly they start selling globally because they feel they want to start with the market where they have the biggest chance of taking it all, or at least of making it big. And usually the local market is not that, unless you're American. So I think that's the mentality change that is happening. But still, I see a lot of those founders who are like, they kind of want to have their own software house, right? And they want to work with that few companies, and they want to kind of go one by one. Versus, this is not the way for VC. We're not gonna make huge profits of those companies. So we need to make them want more.
Oh, wow. That's for sure. And like there is one more question for you and one more question for Andres. Later on, guys, we're going to concentrate on several comments which we have received from public. So, Boris, the question to you is about the comparison for the seed VCs in Central and Eastern Europe and Series A VCs. How do you think the market in general is going to develop, and which way is it going to go? What's your overview on this topic?
Well, you got one of some of the top seed VCs here on stage, so hopefully, I think a few years ago, the narrative was there is a Series A gap in the market. That was the narrative. At least I've seen a lot in CEE in Poland. So there is not enough money for those companies that seed investors invest in. They don't know where to find the next round. And a lot of those startups died. I think that was a pretty wrong narrative. And I think the reason a lot of those startups died was that they weren't good enough, basically. Because I think good startups will always find financing. And I kind of started thinking of us as a nicely growing region, the whole Central Eastern Europe, I think. But I just kind of stopped believing that this is going to be the place where people go to raise capital. Like, Europe is already has their financial centers, and this is London, this is Stockholm, this is Berlin, this is Paris. This is not Warsaw, Tallinn, or Kiev. I think where we're great at is starting new companies, and there is a number of great VCs in every country. Like, we have Kaya and Credo in Czech Republic. We have like us, Innovo, Market One in Poland. We have you guys, Super Angel, Karma in Estonia. There's Change Ventures in Baltic. There's one or two great VCs in every one of those countries, and they're really good in scouting local startups. And they really have better and better connections internationally. So what I'm seeing now is like our best companies, they don't really look for when they raise funding from us and then they go next. They don't really look for a top Series A investor in CEE. They're looking at the best investors globally. US is a bit far away, but best investors in Europe, yes, and they're taking money from those. Like, they're taking money from Stockholm-based VCs, from Berlin-based VCs. Early-based Bird is doing pretty well in the region. So I'm thinking, I wouldn't really say there is a gap anymore. And also I'm thinking, and I'm seeing that already, those kind of post-seed VCs that used to kind of want to invest at a later stage are getting like earlier and earlier stage. And they're getting to the angel kind of rounds, because they know that if they do not get the pro rata in the super early stage, startups might not want to talk to them. They want to talk to the top Series A and Series B VCs globally. So I think, like, I feel that we have a lot of space to have a number of great pre-seed funds in the region. I'm not so confident we're gonna have like big later stage funds. Same with the US. Like, in the US, it also works this way. Like, there's Boston, New York, Miami, and Silicon Valley, and then all the other states, they source deals and then they go fundraise elsewhere. I'm wondering if you, Andres, have a similar view, or maybe because you've got way more experience in investing. So I'm wondering, how do you see this?
Yeah, I certainly agree that Series A needs to be internationally competitive, and I think it's this COVID situation has been a substantial contributor as well. If you're sitting in a lockdown and having a Zoom call, it doesn't matter if the person you're having that call is in the same city or perhaps the next continent, right? So we are seeing a lot more international investor presence, even though they're not physically present, they are present in deals here.
Wow. Andres, I think like Tara, within the information which I've been trying to get, it's one of the top venture capitals in Estonia. And there was also a question dedicated to market standard. So here is next question. Do you have anything what is called a standard deal? And if so, are you still negotiating this one for the early stage startups, or is it more there is a deal and we are going with this one? Of course, if you're capable of sharing such information with us.
Sure. So, of course, I mean, if you want to syndicate with the world's best VCs, you need to adhere to certain standards indeed. So, and yeah, we've obviously implemented the Silicon Valley term sheet here. So, and yeah, we believe that if you are plain vanilla from all the terms perspective, this enables you to do the best deals as well. So, and yeah, as I said, I mean, we are driven to enable those top later stage investors to jump on board. And yeah, this the initial deal that we do is one of the main structures for this, really. Yeah. So we've been very successful with this. Yeah.
Are you actually in favor when the founders are trying to renegotiate the standard deal which you're given, or is it rather the other way around? Like, what will be the perfect outcome for you guys and for the founders? Is there like the negotiation field in the term sheet which you're providing in general?
So, I mean, of course, we can talk about terms. Yeah, I mean, negotiation actually feels good. The opposite, with no negotiation, this feels like, maybe the experience is lacking or something. Yeah. So the quality of this negotiation also matters quite a bit. Yeah.
Got you. Boris, what about Smoke Ventures? Is it a standard deal, or are we looking at something tailor-made each time?
Well, the traditional kind of terms of a term sheet are pretty standard. We've even published the term sheet on the website, so everyone can look at it. And no one is getting a different deal. Everyone is getting the same deal. It's just the valuation changes and the amount that we're investing changes. So I like people who negotiate, but also I don't like when they do it too much. And sometimes when, like, you can see if someone is overdoing it. Like if I see a legal advisor stepping in after our second call and already like making a number of changes to the term sheet and non-accepting stuff that's kind of traditional, or asking about like removing the drag along or tag along rights, or kind of stuff that's pretty normal, like looking this way at me when I'm saying we have LickPref 1.0 non-participating, which is pretty natural and standard and protecting, and there is a reason for all of those. If I need to, translate this to them, that means the legal counsel has no experience in startups, or the founders have no experience. And usually when they come from consulting, they usually have this different idea of a deal, and sometimes this takes, forever to close it. So negotiating good, but what really matters, and what matters for the startup usually is valuation, amount that we invest in, stuff like that. What I would like this market to be more transparent about is kind of the terms that are normally offered. So I would like more VCs to show the terms, but also make it standard, as in do this. There's a safe in Silicon Valley. Let's just use it. I've been whenever I can, we're just using the safe, because this is the most kind of internationally recognized standard. If you're doing equity, just do a regular one with normal, also in English, so that because you kind of, I've seen like Estonian startups doing Estonian deals, and then it's like, I don't know Estonian. I cannot even like see. So there needs to be translation, and it's just wasting time. Same with Poland. Like there's a lot of Polish funds doing deals in Poland, kind of in Polish, kind of like assuming there won't be any international investor ever entering, which is, assuming you're pessimistic. So yeah, standards are good. Standards are good. We should be following those, and we should be just using whatever works in the most mature markets.
Wonderful. Guys, we're having just one more question, which was asked in the public chat. A question from Frank, and it goes, is it really the lack of money or the lack of business knowledge, especially market side? It was referring during your speech, Boris, dedicated to the perfect founders and fundraising opportunities. Frank, maybe you could clarify a little bit more exactly.
What's the question again?
Is it the lack of money or the lack of business knowledge, especially market size? Maybe that was dedicated towards the ticket sizes and the difference.
I think it's about market or like knowledge of the founders. Not sure what the lack of money is about, but just about the knowledge of founders. I think they usually I rarely see founders who don't know the market. They're like, if I do, it's just they're I'm just not interested. But most founders come from a specific market, and they actually understand the industry. What they don't know is the whole process of how to raise capital. What's the process of raising capital? This is the most kind of the information disadvantage that they are at. And actually, I'm okay with that. Because sometimes it's just, if you're not a serial founder, there's no way you can know some specific details. I mean, it's great that you do some research, but I'm actually okay with that if you don't know this process that well. Because you're gonna learn very quickly, and once we negotiate, you're gonna learn what's standard and what's not, and how this whole thing works. Sometimes I get a better deal because they just don't know, and then they just talk to one or two investors, and they're okay with that. So, but if you don't know the market, or if you don't know the competition, or if you're kind of just looking at your current market as a local market versus the whole global one, then of course I'm not that excited, because it feels like the vision of the founder is not, it's not what I'm looking for. Not sure if I answered the question that Frank is answering, but as actually asking, but.
Okay, and as our session is slowly getting to the end, my question to you guys will be, first of all, to you, Andres, what will be the most comfortable way to reach out to you? And could you please remind one more time the average tickets which you're investing, so that the founders who are watching us will be able to send the pitch decks?
Sure, yeah. My email address is andrus@terra.vc, and well, as said, we're broadly seed from a couple of $100K to €1.5 million initial tickets. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. Boris, what about you?
Boris at SmogVC, and email is the best way to contact me. I'm pretty active on Twitter as well, or LinkedIn, so you can reach out, but email just works best. And right now we've done tickets as small as 50K, and the biggest one we've done was just under €1 million. So we would do anything in this regard. Till end of this year, we mostly focus on startups that are somehow connected to Poland, as we're still spending the first fund, which is very much Poland focused. And starting next year, we'll be spending the second fund, which is pretty much CEE focused. So, but with no restrictions. So if you're like a founder based in London, but you have some connection to Central Eastern Europe, that's still great. That's still, we'll be just sourcing deals in this region. So yeah, happy to chat, and we'll be pretty active in the region very often, also in Tallinn. So hopefully we can meet in person as well.
Boris, Andres, thank you very much for your participation. I hope there will be great deals coming after our short panel. And